Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Yona of the Dawn, chapter 222. When we last left our heroes, Soo-Won went through with the order to have the archers fire into the flanks of Kurau's army, regardless of the fact that both the Earth Tribe prisoners and the dragons are still there. And Kye-Sook starts to realize the flaw of this plan, in that Koka has sort of tied itself so closely to the dragons that Soo-Won shooting at the flanks, not really caring that the dragon could get caught up as like collateral damage there, is going to do major damage to morale if the dragons are actually killed. Meanwhile, Soo-Won is realizing that he can't, at long last, he can't just abandon Hawk and Yona, that those relationships mean something to him and he cannot discard them like his father always wanted him to. And also, Soo-Won's getting really weak. He can only even like sit up on his horse because Yona is supporting him. It was like there's some metaphors in there for how Koka has tied itself so much to Yona's status as Hiryu, but also Soo-Won's doing pretty rough. Meanwhile, Kaji, the general who sort of like had that scuffle with Hawk a while back, arrives onto the battlefield as reinforcement for Kurau, as Kurau's not doing great thanks to his fight with the dragons. Meaning we don't know what happened to Hawk after his encounter with Kaji, and also Kaji mentioned that the Senjutsu is like already useless, I think is the exact line. Yeah, this flower is already useless. So either Kaji doesn't know what the Senjutsu is used for, or that's a very bad sign for Soo-Won and Main-Yan. But yeah, let's really leave off with reinforcements here, and things going from bad to worse for Koka. So with that said, let's dive right on in chapter 222, standing side by side. And our cover is this sort of like, in-canon image of Yona. She thinks, haven't you already made up your mind or my assumption is that's Yona thinking about Soo-Won. But I suppose given that the next page is not really in Yona's head, it might just be like a regular kind of narrator-style blurb, like most manga do. I'm not sure. It might be Yona's thoughts about Soo-Won, though. Anyway, Yona's supporting Soo-Won, who's suffering from the Crimson Illness. Her plan is, and we see we open with Soo-Won sweating, clearly barely able to be conscious, as Yona calls to him, Soo-Won, can you hear me? Let's have the Wind and Fire tribes withdraw at once. So they've clearly noticed the reinforcements because they're trying to back out. As Yona says, if they charge, they'll bear the brunt of the attacks and the reinforcements of South Kye. They won't be able to hold their ground. They should draw back, regroup with the Water and Earth tribes. They should draw back and regroup with the Water and Earth tribes. We'll move to surround the 1st Battalion of South Kye. If we overthrow the 1st Battalion, we may be able to force them into the ranks of the reinforcements and completely break South Kye's formation. Okay, so what they're going to do is instead of attacking Kurau from behind, attack from the sides and try to make Kurau's army run into Kaji's army and get kind of all fucked up there is sort of her plan. But Yona asked, is this plan feasible? Tell me what you think. Which is a nice, I've seen a lot of critiques lately that Yona has never really been written as a military commander, and her, she's been a leader of a small band, and having her be in this sort of more general position doesn't quite work, and that's roughly fair, I think. But I do like that she's sort of, she's not sure. She wants Soo-Won who's a bit more experienced in this avenue to sort of back her up. But Soo-Won doesn't. He pushes back. We won't be able to draw back the Wind and Fire tribes in time. If we change the formation too suddenly, our own formation may break. Even so, if they receive backup from the archers, the reinforcements of South Kye won't be able to get near. If this is the case, it could work. Okay, so he actually is going to go with it if, with his archers attacking that Kaji battalion, so that they can't approach and back up Kurau's forces. And so he calls Kye-Sook, signal the Wind and Fire tribes to draw back. No, it's actually Yona saying this, which is what shocks Kye-Sook, because especially if he can't really hear the conversation that Yona and Soo-Won are having, it does kind of look like Yona is the one in charge here. She's sort of taking control from Soo-Won, which mixes everything up in that sort of murky, who are the people going to follow that Kye-Sook has been so worried about recently. Anyway, Yona goes on, have the archers cover their retreat, which of course, as Kye-Sook does not know, was Soo-Won's advice. But after a moment of being stunned, he just lets out a yeah. And then Yona thinks, please make it in time. And they send out the signal, the Wind Tribe sees it. I always forget the girl's name of the Wind Tribe, who is Ayame. Ayame notes it, Tae-woo, the signal to retreat. And Tae-woo calls back, understood. And then the Fire Tribe army, they call retreat. And Tae-woo, as he's riding back in retreat, thinks, thank goodness for the quick decision-making of the main camp. And the main soldiers all note, great response to the Wind and Fire tribes. And Soo-Won is sort of back in this sort of panicky spiral that I imagine, is in part because of his illness, but also because he's sort of, that realization that he values Hawk and Yona so highly, I think has kind of broken his image of himself. One wrong move and the Wind and Fire tribes would have attacked. My delayed decision. Yona made up for it. And Kaji watches this as the tribes are retreating. Oh dear, it's no use, General Kurau's army. But then the arrows are flying, and one of Kaji's soldiers tells him, General Kaji, the enemy's archers are stopping us from advancing. Even so, we can't turn back. We have to win this war no matter what, so we can get Lady Maignon back. Okay, that's an interesting note, because I don't think we've really seen Kaji in particular, his relations to Maignon. Because the general, beyond, the few guys we've seen, whose names I'm blanking on, because it's been a little while. Let me see if I can find their names fairly quickly. I doubt I can. But the generals we've seen in the past, whose names I'm frustratingly blanking on, none of the ones whose names I can remember, not Ra'an or Kurau or Kaji, but the Val was his name, I think. Val was sort of pro Maignon. The rest of them were all kind of opposed to her, I thought. But Kaji here seems to say the whole point of the war is to get Maignon back. And I don't even think Chagol is lying about that. They might say the war is about the emissary that Yona supposedly killed, but not Maignon. I never really had the impression he was even pretending to give a rat's ass about Maignon. Anyway, we see the Koka archers firing some more, and Kaji says, the archers are in the way. Crush them. And he goes with his own fucking catapult. We're right back with the catapults. And Yona gets this terrible gut feeling. And she calls out, no! The archers! Look out! And Soo-Won's barely able to lift his eyes. He is weakening and fast. If they can't get the Senjutsu from Kaji, and the Senjutsu doesn't actually work, I'm not sure he'll survive this battle. But the catapult fires, and it lands, crushing the archers. Ah! And one of the soldiers covers his mouth. Oh, the archers. The reinforcements also brought catapults. And we hear this throbbing in Soo-Won's head as he's just more and more sick. And Yona hears, report, half the archers on the right wing are out of action. And Soo-Won tries to say, Yona, it's not. That's all he can get out before he thinks, you're a burden to bear. I'm the one who made the final decision. Even if I told you these comforting words, what would they accomplish? No matter what I say, I can't save her. And Soo-Won just thinks Hawk. It has to be Hawk. And in terms of the concept of saving Yona, what am I seeking for after all this time? And yet we're seeing, after Soo-Won's kind of revelation last chapter, his thoughts are much more on Hawk than he ever really figured they would be. And Hawk, we still haven't really seen Hawk since his encounter with Kaji. We don't know if he's even fake joined up with Kaji's army. But the Kai soldiers ready the catapults, the surviving archers just panic. They're going to use the catapults again. Dragons, save us, 4 dragons. And they see like the rope is taut on the catapult. Kye-Sook announces, signal the archers to retreat. And Yona calls, run! And then the rope snaps, and the catapult, I believe, breaks there. Shocking everyone, because of course, there's a Koka soldier in the Kye army right now. There's Hawk, obviously, tying into what, Soo-Won's realization that, only Hawk can save Yona on an emotional level. But, in this case, it's not by comforting Yona, it's by saving the other soldiers. A nice little bit of a misdirection there. But shocking Yona and Soo-Won, though Soo-Won is just so weak at this point, he can't even look surprised anymore. But also Kaji looks back confused. Huh? What? What happened? And one of his soldiers calls, General Kaji, the catapult's rope was cut. Cut? At this time? And he's suspicious. But the Koka soldiers are all kind of gossiping. What happened? It seems the catapult malfunctioned. We're saved! And one of another Kye soldier approaches Kaji. General Kaji, General Haitan is ordered to spread out in advance. Haitan, I believe, is a new general? I don't think we've met Haitan before, unless I'm mistaken. But Kaji tells him, yeah, advance. And they all so they're all, starting to march forward, and Kaji turns back to look at the catapult. And he sees the rope, sees the way it's cut. The rope shows traces of being cut by a blade. Who cut it? Who? And I love this panel here, actually, of Kaji having worked out that there is a spy in his camp, or an enemy agent in his camp. And we see him just surrounded by who are ostensibly his soldiers. And we, the audience, know are mostly his soldiers. But it really puts us in Kaji's headspace there. That any one of these seemingly faceless soldiers could be the enemy. I mean, there's other panel of just all of the soldiers, their eyes covered, not quite indistinguishable from each other, as they all have different hair colors and the facial hair, but generally not exactly unique character designs. But then we see Judo, as I think this is more of Kaji's thoughts. Where's the general? And the Fire Tribe general, who I believe is Taejun's brother still, right? Read that right? It's been a while since we've really seen the Fire Tribe. Hold on. Kyoga is the brother, is Taejun's brother's name. I believe that is Kyoga we see. In this, the South Kye army is in pieces. It's been so long since we've seen any of the Fire Tribe people that I don't think, ever since I started reviewing this series, a year and a half ago, I don't think we've seen the Fire Tribe at all, which is a shame, because Taejun was a character I really liked back when he was, relevant. But anyway, back to the actual chapter. The South Kye army is in pieces. Just a bit more. This does seem to be, because we see Taewoo with that bit, it seems like this is the various Koka generals' lines. Where's the general, Judo asks? Does he not know the dragons are dealing with Kura'u, and he's still looking for Kura'u or something? I don't know. I remember Judo was sort of the point person for the Koka army. But anyway, someone calls out, Taewoo, and Taewoo turns back. And it's what's his name? I think it's Saki or Hande. I think it's Saki. I think only Saki has the beads in his hair. There's something wrong with the rear guard, and he looks back to the Kye army. I think is advanced now. I guess they haven't noticed the catapult or something. When did they get behind us? Where are the archers? Then that is Hande there. The archers were killed by the catapult. No way! So they have actually noticed the catapult, but they're only just now realizing how bad it is. As Yona thinks, they're fast. I thought Koka had the upper hand, but the reinforcements have already swooped in. And Taewoo realizes we're trapped. This is bad. It's all we can do to fight the enemies in front of us. And someone calls, I think this is, I think is that IMA? I feel really bad being so off with some of these characters' names. It makes me feel like a shitty reviewer, I feel. But anyway, one of them calls, Young Master, I'll be the rear guard. What? I can ride the fastest. And I think this is Hande. I got your back. Just charge forwards. And Tae-woo calls out, damn it, Hande! So yeah, I think he's gonna, I guess, try to hold off Kaji's entire army by himself, I think. I'm curious if that'll actually, how long that will work for, or what point he'll find Hawk. Because he's going to meet the army that Hawk is, infiltrating. He's gonna find Hawk. That's the way these stories work. But Tae-woo calls back, you fool! Don't you dare die on me! You have to obey me no matter what! And Hande calls back, ha! Leave it to Hande! And Hande, puts on that brave face, but Tae-woo is not really buying it. It's my fault. I only focus on the enemies in front. Now everyone's in danger. And Hande is just, making his fight. Is there anyone faster than me? And he's just cutting them all down as much as he can, but he's taking damage too. He gets a bad gash on his arm. But he just grin and bears it. Hande! And he just keeps on going, taking more and more damage as he's killing a bunch of their guys, but he's not doing too well either. I won't die! Tae-woo's command is absolute! And then I think he might be struck there. But this seems like the bit where Hawk steps in. But we see these two Kai soldiers bring their swords down. We see a splash of blood, shock on the Wind Tribe's faces. And he just stands there, or sits there after the attack. Hande! And there he is. Hawk, the flag bearer, whacks the two Kai soldiers out with his spear and knocks them over, confusing Hande, who did not see that coming at all. Huh? And he just hears the call of die! And Hande looks over, and he sees the flag. Hawk is fucking using the flag of South Kai to knock out the South Kai soldiers, shocking all of the soldiers who thought he was on their side. Whoa! What are you doing? And Hawk just tells them, mockingly, oh, sorry, it's my first battlefield. I don't know what to do. And he just keeps on waving the flag around. Whoa! Don't wave the banner around! And he keeps on doing it. I'm sorry if it's dangerous. It's dangerous! Why are you holding both a spear and a banner? And they're just all stunned. Stop it! Out of the way! Hey, it's not every day this kind of occasion comes up. Just let me try my best. And Hande and this other Wind Tribe guy are just completely shocked. They have not worked out who this guy is yet. Whoa, out of the way! And Kaji approaches some of his forces and sees this sort of mass confusion. And asks, what are you doing? And one of the soldiers tells him, forgive me, General Kaji. It's this rookie's fault that our formation is broken. And the guy tells Hawk, hey, step forward. Yes, sir. And Kaji sees him, wait, if you're a rookie, why aren't you in the infantry? And Hawk, I guess Kaji, thanks to the helmet, doesn't recognize that this is Hawk. Even though they had that one-to-one confrontation 4 chapters ago. But Hawk just tells him, I'm good at riding horses. And Kaji just sees him, and actually I think maybe finally recognizes him, because he slashes his sword at Hawk, and knocks the helmet off, stunning Hande, and Kaji just glares at him. I knew it. You. The rope on the catapult. You cut it. And Hawk's so fucking cocky here, leaning his banner on his shoulder. No idea what you're talking about. Even within the South Kai army, his heart belongs to... Continues in issue 9, April 5th. Okay, this was a fun chapter. There's a lot of good bits all throughout. There was not exactly a chapter that's easily defined as one event. That's you know what I mean? There's a lot of disparate pieces here. It sort of opens with Kaji's initial sort of promise of reinforcements, but the real important thing to me is sort of continuing this sort of look into Soo-Won and Yona, because Soo-Won is falling fast. Soo-Won is it's somewhat unlikely that from a narrative standpoint, I think Soo-Won will survive. But from a physical standpoint, he's on his last legs. There's not a lot of hope he has unless they can get the Senjutsu from Kaji. And we're seeing Yona kind of be forced to take command. Which is, some good sort of development, and I love this bit with Kye-Sook on page 6, as we're sort of like, he's sort of looking at this in the way that Kye-Sook has been looking at it all arc, and the sort of, Yona's sort of like starting to take command of things, and he's kind of uncomfortable with that. So there's more good stuff in there. But then we move on to the catapult storyline, which gives us a little bit more of Yona being a leader. She's sort of the one, as I recall, right, who gives the order to retreat. Or it's actually Kye-Sook, never mind. But Yona's is still kind of, that's my medicine alarm, my bad. But Yona's still in the sort of state of things are only getting worse. And we see, despite the fact she's sort of coming into her own in this battle, she still is very unexperienced. She sees the archers fall, and she's kind of in this panicky state. The sort of despondent state, more like, until Kye-Sook finally gives the order to retreat. But then we give the catapult breaking scene, and I think that's my favorite part of the chapter. I love the bit of Kaji's sudden distrust of his entire forces. He doesn't know who's responsible. We eventually find out that he kind of suspects it was Hawk. But he doesn't know. And as a result, again, I love page 17. It's my favorite page of the whole chapter. Of this bit of he is surrounded by people who are supposed to be on his side, but any one of them could be this traitor. And he has no way of knowing who exactly it is. But that does very little good for Koka in the immediate, as things seem to be going well after the catapult's destruction. But they very quickly realize that thanks to Kaji's forces advancement, they're now kind of caught in this pincer formation, leaving Hande to try to sacrifice himself so the Wind Tribe can make it, and he very nearly does until Hawk finally makes his move, allowing to let his old refusing to let his old friend die, and he just starts accidentally whacking Kai guys all over the place, which is honestly a great follow up of the whole lowly soldier gag that Hawk has been doing for a while now. It's a real funny bit there, leading to just him being the one in command, the badass. He's the one who's most likely to sort of fuck up Kai's goals, which again is that nice tie-in to what Soo-Won says back on page 12, that it has to be Hawk to sort of stop Yona's despair at the death of the archers, and it is in a way that Soo-Won doesn't quite realize yet, and that it's Hawk sort of being the one to fuck up the Kai army. But now Kaji sees Hawk. Hawk is kind of surrounded by enemy soldiers. He's Hawk, it'll be fine. But he's sort of surrounded. He's not exactly in a great spot right now. But it'll be great to see how all this plays off going forward. It's only 2 weeks till the next chapter, so, not a long wait. And I can wait to see how all this plays out next time. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, do whatever makes you happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!